I am
Oh,
California Barbie. It's great.
you named your board?
Well, it's the Barbie board. It's hot pink. So,
Oh, it's a hot pink Barbie board.
of course, yeah.
I'm still
What else are we
boycotting
doing?
that movie. The only way I'm ever gonna watch that movie is with you.
Okay, well, that's a deal. You would love this. If I can pull it up, I'll send it to you. Joel Gadet texted me the other day and said on his broadcast for like his real job, he was talking about the Mountaineers, and he said the Mojo Dojo Casa House of the Mountaineers on a live broadcast. And I got him into the movie. So I believe that I can get you into the movie.
So
Yeah,
you're
but let's
hoping
be
that
honest. There's nothing surprising about Joel doing that.
I think it's awesome. He clipped it and sent it to me, and I laughed so hard. And I was like, if I had been watching this live, I probably would have streamed back just so I could listen to it again.
You know what?
yes,
I
Audrey,
now
you get
I see her picture there now. I actually see it more clearly than yesterday. And I know why
yeah.
I love this picture so much is because it's the first time I've seen a picture that makes Savan look tall.
Oh,
Oh my
he
God.
does.
I
Audrey's
didn't
standing
recognize
on.
him.
Yeah.
I actually didn't recognize him yesterday because I've never seen him in a picture where he's the tallest one,
Yeah.
other than with his kids.
That's like me. I'm never the
True.
tallest one.
No, you're usually in the front
Oh,
row doing some kind of pose.
Yes.
pick a better day for this.
Hey man,
The
we do these
request.
shows. We do these shows when we can. We will have a decent amount of shows this week. If you guys missed it yesterday, we did a Sand Clash review from Saudi. Well, I wasn't in Saudi Arabia, but we did a review from the competition that was there. Open will be today, and we have the privilege and honor of having someone who is intimately involved with the first week of the Open in a public setting, Miss Bella Barton, joining us for the first time in a while. And then we'll do a preview show tomorrow for Eurasia Throwdown Finals, which will be the competition we cover this upcoming weekend here in Istanbul, Turkey. So it's, what time is it here? 10 o'clock. It's 11 a.m. where Bella is. It's 1 p.m. where Patrick is. And we're glad that you guys are here, no matter what time it is.
We're global.
Yeah. Yeah. And who better to bring in someone like Bella, who announced 24.1, by the way. Great
Oh, yeah.
job. Yeah.
Thank
so
you. Thank you. It was fun.
Let's kind of dive in that. Well, how was that experience?
It was really cool. I think something that is different from just doing MC stuff is the not necessarily pressure, but just there's a lot more preparation that goes into doing sideline and everything. But that's why they brought me in for that, because I was emceeing as well as doing the interviews and doing everything like that with the live audience that was there. So that was really cool to be able to do both of those at the same time. Everybody was so stoked to be there. And I think just the energy being in there, I can't imagine a better week to have done the Open announcement. I mean, week one, you never really know how it's going to go. And I checked earlier today, and they're at over 1 million views for that stream. And that's
Wow.
wild. So
That is pretty cool. And Patrick had told me I should catch up on Dave's week in review today. I get so out of touch with the normal schedule of stuff when it's 10-hour time zone or 12-hour time zone, just differences. And he mentioned that too. He said, he was talking about just media in general. And he's like, well, we must be doing something right. I think our Open view has over 1 million views, and all those guys that like to make fun of us, I can't remember the last time they had a show with over 1 million views. I was like, damn, Dave.
Wow, you went hard.
And that's the thing, like they produced a really good show. And I think everybody in CrossFit was excited about that. And I think it only speaks good things about going into the season.
Well, and you said that everyone was excited, and I think that there's been a general air of excitement amongst the community for the most part this week. But
Bye, Brian.
This. I don't know. Did you lose me? What happened?
Yeah, we lost you. Someone called.
What is it? No. It's on. Do not disturb. No one can call me. They better not call me. Should I admit that I left my computer in Charlotte and I'm having to
Yes.
work from my phone for this entire 2 weeks?
Oh,
Well,
my
it was
gosh.
terrible. It was terrible. It was the last day. I was really hectic. A lot was going on. I was typing an email. I finished an email, closed my computer, took a phone call. Everything was packed. I went to check the back door to make sure it was locked, and I walked out the door and I never put the computer in my backpack. I didn't realize until I was in Doha, Qatar's airport.
It's a little too late there.
yeah.
So Patrick has been bailing me out big time. And so, yes, I'm doing this on my phone. But what I was going to say is, I didn't realize this. It was Jeff Adler's first open announcement. He's the CrossFit Games champion. Never has done an open announcement before. I'm sure you got to talk to him a bunch, but it seemed to me from the stuff that he posted on social media that there was a pretty meaningful weekend for him.
I think so. And I think there was also not necessarily just the open announcement that was going on. There was also, like, we had the Golden Barbell Challenge, and there was 3 workouts that they were doing. That's the first time they've ever done that. So I think that's just an additional thing that made 24.1 so special. But I can't imagine. And he's also, I would say he's done a lot of work in the off season. Looking at him, he looks like a different athlete, which is really cool. And we chatted with him briefly about that as well. But it was, I think, being the champion and coming back into a season thinking, okay, like, it wasn't a fluke. I didn't just win on accident. I deserved to be on top of that podium. That's the mindset he came in to the announcement. And he won the Open last year. He didn't do as hot on 24.1 at the end of it with all of the stats and all the times that came in. But I think just being there and being respected as the fittest man on earth, that's meaningful and that's huge.
Well, in his history, he first kind of he did place 33rd in the 2019 games, but when he took 5th place in the stage 2 of the 2020 CrossFit Games, I think there were a lot of people that were like, yeah, I mean, he kind of snuck in. There's that kind of famous scene of Matt Fraser saying, Jeff Adler, like, no one was expecting to make the top 5 that year. And he finishes 5th, which is last amongst the people that went out there for a reset score of a competition. And you go into the 2021 games, people in general weren't really sure of how fit this guy was. Same thing for Justin Medeiros, of course. And I actually had lunch with him and Caroline Lambre the day before the games, or 2 days before the games in 2021. And he was expressing that same kind of self-uncertainty then. He's like, I realized I was 5th last year, but it wasn't a full field of games. There were 40 guys here. There's 40 guys here this year. So let's see how I'm going to do. And he's always been very reasonable. And he basically said that year, I think that this kind of 13th place finish that he had in 2021, I think I'm remembering these correctly, is probably more like appropriate, but it's not where I want to be. And then we see what's happened over the past couple of years. He has, what he's done this offseason, and the fact that you kind of notice that is a really good kind of microscope of or micro look at what he's done over the last 8 years, which is he just does the work consistently. He doesn't compete a ton. He competed at Rogue. We haven't seen him since. And we'll see him, at semis. I'm sure he'll be excellent in the games. He's going to be in the mix again, for a win, podium, somewhere up there probably. And it's just a testament. Really, he is at, and I've said it before, at the elite level, he is the almost the closest thing you're going to find maybe ever to what a consistent application of the methodology can produce over a long period of time if you have a consistent training environment, diet, and lifestyle. And he's taken it to the optimal level, the maximum level. But it's really a way of living that hopefully a lot of us are adopting, even if we're not pursuing that elite level of fitness, that just this consistency over time does produce pretty cool things.
Yeah, I think so. And on kind of like a less serious, funnier note, I mean, we all noticed that he got a little bit he just looks bigger, which is awesome. I mean, he's put on some noticeable muscle mass in the off season, and looking at him versus how he looked last year, I mean, I would say last year his physique reminded me of Ben Smith, like impressive and, top of the field, but it wasn't something I was like, oh, that's one of the better physiques in CrossFit. And it's not a serious thing, but the way he looks now, that's insane. And he looks phenomenal. And he deserves to know it. And we all commented on it, you look really good. And so that, that's got to be some little confidence boost for him too. He looks great.
Well, and let's stick.
Kind of notice that him evolving in the off season the last 3 years. And I think kind of started
Yeah.
after a disappointing finish in 2021, where he kind of, you know, him and Caroline, and with the help of other coaches, just wanted to become more of a complete athlete. And he was never known as an endurance athlete. So he kind of lived on the assault bike, kind of lived on the machines. And
Yeah.
that paid off. I think it ultimately paid off. And then now it looks like he's recommitting to, like I said, getting bigger, almost like Vellner did a couple times. I mean, his build's becoming a little bit more like Vellner's, a little bit, maybe a little bit more defined. But yeah, I mean, he's done a great job of reinventing himself every offseason, adapting, because that's what CrossFit is about. Also, is adapting to the challenges, and I think he's allowing his body to adapt. So, yeah.
And let's
Yeah, he looks great.
Bella,
You
let's
should be very
stick with
proud.
the let's stick with the athletes that were there on site, since you know you got this kind of intimate experience with him. So he goes head to head with
Yeah.
Brent Fikowski. And I just said, I mean, everyone knows it. Maybe other people have talked about it already, but everyone knows about Brent Fikowski. He's one of the best in the world and has been for a long time at very specific things.
Yeah.
But he also just has a body type and skill set where occasionally he gets punished for being a taller, leaner athlete amongst the elite field. And for the second time, he goes
Yeah.
to the open and he gets burpees and dumbbell snatch. What was his first
No.
when?
Brian, he didn't just get burpees and dumbbell snatch. He also got the OG version of Nasty Girls, where we lowered the
Yeah.
rings, and he had to do that. And I'm watching them as they were kind of trying to navigate how they were going to do that. I'm watching them lower the rings, and Brent is just on his knees, completely fully extended. And I'm like, well, he is as tall as I am right now, and he's on his knees. He is that tall. And I think it's funny, and he's a great sport. And they also, they did 11.3 as well. Don't have a ton to say on that one. But I would say nothing that we did at the announcement was really in Brent's wheelhouse, especially when it comes to, he is a very mental athlete, and it all comes down to preparation. And when you're there and you're finding out what you're doing and then you've got to go do it, there's not a whole lot of prep time that you have. So, I think he was a good sport about it. He's always got such a great interview. He gave me heat because one of our other broadcasters said that he won his open announcement back in 2017, and I knew he didn't. I knew that, and I didn't say it, but he thought I did. Kenny and I have the same voice, and so he heard a raspy voice, and he thought it was me, and so he's coming at me saying, "I didn't win, remember?" And I'm sitting there looking at him like, Brent, I know, I know you didn't, but by a technicality you did, but I didn't say anything about it. But it's so fun because he actually is, I mean, he's always thinking about these things. He doesn't just show up and do the fitness. He's thinking about the history of it. He's thinking about how it works for him, how it works for other people. He was talking to us about, specifically for Nasty Girls, all of the work that he's been doing on the rings to fix different holes in his technique so he can have a better technique for high volume and things like that. So we're going into it with him. And I mean, it's really fun to watch Brent prepare for fitness, prepare for battle almost 3 times. So he's a great time. And I mean, I've been at competitions with Brent for the last, I think, 2 or 3 years with him on the floor, and he just gets more and more fun to be around. So I was super stoked to have him out there.
Yeah, and then on the women's side, we had some younger athletes, some phenomenal athletes, and also just two of the. I've spent a lot more time with Alex and I with Alexis, but I think when they let their guard down, they are two of the more fun people to just hang out with. Tell us about what it was. It was probably the most intimate time you've spent with either one of them, and how was it hanging out with Alexis and Alex?
So I would say right off the bat, I would say I have pretty solid rapport with Justin Kotler. And so when we ran into them at the first gym and we're, kind of chatting, having a yawn, I'm like, oh, you're gonna smile your way through this one, Alex. And you're not telling them anything, but I'm like, you're gonna have a good time. It'll be fun. So they show up to the gym, they find out what they're doing, they finish, and Alex, she's all smiles. She had a great time. She also won. So it was a good time for her. And we were chatting afterwards. It's like, I told you, you're gonna smile the whole time. She's like, yeah, I know, but I didn't know what that meant. I thought it was going to be like a bench or something. She thought it was going to be something completely different. So
You wish it was a bench.
It's fun to play with them. And then I haven't had a ton of time to chat with Alexis. And so I was really excited when our producer was saying, hey, we want you to go interview Alexis because we haven't had that time together. And so getting to know her on the floor, her heart is actually very beautiful and special. We got to chat. If you watch the live stream, we kind of talked about being a teen athlete and then the transition between doing the open as an adult and then being in the open field. It's different. And she was saying, she thought going from teenage to open, she was going to make it in the next year. And that wasn't the case. And she had to put in a lot of work. And now she's starting to see, the rewards for all of the hard work that she put in. And I think that, I am a big fan of what Pitt Teen is doing for the teens, especially this year with the mentorship program and all of the things that we're doing out there. And to hear her speak to some of the ideas that the team in the team in Michigan is already kind of talking about, it's like there's a life that's in this, and it's not going to always be the easiest road. So having her speak on that on the actual broadcast itself, if anybody was listening to that, that was the most special kind of nugget of information out of the whole thing. And I'm thinking about this afterwards, and I didn't know that's what I was going to get out of her. But how exciting is it that she was able to speak to something that is so prevalent right now for the younger athletes?
And personally, personally important to her. That was a picture of her with her coach, Adam Rogers from Training Think Tank, which is one of the more probably unheralded, really, really strong athlete coach combinations in the sport right now. They have a really good working relationship together in the gym. It seems like at competitions, they thrive together. It just kind of works well. And of course, we didn't get to see Alexis compete this off season because of some personal things that she's, opened up a little bit about. So to me, it was really nice that she got this invite, that she got this opportunity, and that she was able to go and do this because the women's field, after the top 2 or 3 athletes, there's about 10 to 12 that are really, really tight in the mix. You can make an argument that if the weekend goes well, she could be knocking on the door of a podium, or she could be fighting for a spot in the top 10. She's in that group along with, a dozen other women or so. But if you think about what that means that she does have the potential this upcoming year to maybe podium or to be in the fight for the fittest woman in North America, which is always a difficult one to achieve. Or in the United States, I should say. And so I just felt really good for her that she got this opportunity.
I think so too. And I think for her, getting opportunities like this early in her career as an open athlete is going to prep her so much moving forward. And then if she gets to do an announcement again, how cool is that going to be for her to, say, this is what happened last time, this is how I'm going to do it differently, and then have that experience to kind of build on.
One thing I noticed about these group of athletes is I've been to, I think, 4 open announcements. Had the pleasure of going to them, but to see these athletes and how they interacted with each other and how they looked like they were having fun. And I think a lot of it had to do with the whole golden barbell, where they did spend a lot more time and not isolated as much as some of the other ones. But I think in general, their personalities all mesh. And even though I think they just get along. They're people, I guess, as you want to say. But but I really noticed that, especially when Brent made that announcement that this is the team for 2024, that that we're gonna go team. That I thought that was really funny, and that's gonna be one competitive team if that team ever did happen. But I thought that was really cool. That was really cool, and for you to actually see that in person and get to see how their personalities mesh. I mean, you have basically 2 former teen division type athletes. Alexis never make it to the games as a team, but she was a teen athlete, and 2 veterans in Adler and Fikowski. It was just really cool to see.
It was a great time, and I think the dynamic was there. They were all very supportive, and I mean, athletes, they might have big personalities, they might not show a lot, and then when it comes to the pressure of competition and the pressure of a live, 24.1 announcement, I can to a degree, but it felt very welcoming for them. And I think they all they worked through it together and not necessarily just alone. They weren't alone. They played as a team in more ways than one. They played as a team.
Brian's just upset because he wasn't a part of this game.
I don't even know what game that is that they're playing, but it is.
I think they're playing Yahtzee. I think they played Yahtzee.
Okay.
So obviously, that, that was the open announcement. Most of you guys have probably watched it. Really cool for us to just, obviously we know Bella well, and for her to get an opportunity like this, I know it's been a big dream of hers to have the opportunity to do something like this. So it's just a privilege to watch. I got a lot of messages from people that were, maybe don't watch a lot of the stuff that you do as often, that were really impressed. So thanks for giving us kind of the behind the scenes look at some of that stuff as well.
Of course, it was fun. Hopefully I'll do it again.
And in the meantime, PC usurped the B.Friendly Fitness YouTube Instagram channel.
I told you, don't give me those. You should have never gave me the password.
He slipped back into his senior analyst role from the morning chalk up, and he made a series of predictions about what we might see over the course of 24.1 based on some quick research that he did with similar open workouts and the extensive knowledge of athletes around the world that he has. And I think you did pretty good overall, Patrick. What was your evaluation of your own picks?
I thought it was pretty spot on. I mean, like I said, I got a little flack from some people. Oh, you just picked the shorter athletes or whatever. It's like, oh, not a big thing, But at the end of the day, I didn't really see many people putting themselves out there in terms of who they thought could potentially win. Obviously, Colton. If you didn't pick Colton to win this event, I then you need to reevaluate yourself as someone that's picking athletes or analyzing the sport. But I just didn't realize that he was going to win by that much. And my frame of reference really was 21.2. As soon as I saw this announcement, the first thing I started thinking about was open workouts that were couplets that had very similar stimulus. So 21.2, which was alternating dumbbell snatches, but with burpee box jump overs, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Colton finished third, and of the athletes that are still competing from 21, and he finished third. And Taylor Self was 13th. I know that was kind of a dark horse pick, but he's someone that Brian very well. We'll discuss his performance as well. And then someone like Scott Tetlow. I forgot who else I mentioned in there. I mean, Vellner. I mentioned Vellner. Vellner finished at 6 minutes. So, but on the women's side, I was really interested to see what happened. And just based on my knowledge of the Norwegians, I picked Kristen Holte, who Holte did it initially, put it out there at 6:02. A retired, I think she's 9 months postpartum, maybe less than that. And she just showed off what she can still do, what the body can do. And that kind of set the tone. And knowing that like an athlete like Sahar Kaya, who trains with Kristen Holte, who's really good at those body weight type movements, I knew she was going to put up a real big time, which I think she finished 5th overall. But yeah, I thought I did pretty well on that.
You did, yeah, you definitely did well. I was happy that you did that, actually, even though you didn't tell me about it. And I hope you do it again this week. And now you have to live up to the expectations of everybody.
I do.
But I do.
Shade.
I know.
But I think there's no real beating around the bush. I think that we do have to emphasize the two top performances on the men's side. You mentioned both of them already, Colton Burns and Taylor Self. We'll take them in the reverse order because, as you said, Taylor is obviously a coach at the same affiliate as him. He's a friend of mine. I kind of introduced him to Sevan because I knew that in addition to being a really competitive athlete, he was a really good programmer, had a really good programming mind, and he can. I think he's very emotional, but he gets in these zones where he can really look at a workout or a field of athletes and relate to them from a competitive level and a programming level in a unique way relative to most people. But I also train with him. Like, we did the Charlotte Classic together. We program workouts. He would do the elite version of the workout. I would do the RX version of the workout. And I mean, the guy is a freaking monster. And what I said to a few people who reached out to me, they're like, dude, look at Taylor Self. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, this guy, absent of two things. One is his knee. He's had multiple knee surgeries. He's had to go through 2 full years now, 2 surgeries in 2 full years, getting to this point where he's at now. But he has done everything that he can do to get to this spot where he's starting to do dynamics, snatching, squatting, cleaning at higher loads, which is kind of the last thing as far as that's concerned. But the first time I met Taylor was at the 2021 Granite Games, I think. And we had him on our radar as a sleeper pick there. And he would tell you this too. I mean, he snatched 295. It was great. He had a mental error, basically an execution on a burpee and running workout, and he was unable to let that go mentally. And if you want to be elite in this sport, you can have all the physical capacity in the world, but at competitions, it's inevitable. Something is not going to go your way. Whether you screw it up, your judge screws it up, there's a change to the workout that you thought, whatever it is, like things always happen. And if you don't have the short-term memory to move on to the next, then the elite fitness can be compromised by your mind getting in the way. And Froning has talked about this going back 10 years from now. And so what we don't know about Taylor, I've said this to many people, he's clearly one of the 50 fittest on earth. How high into the top 50? We may never know, but we might find out this year. Who knows? I don't know. When I asked him in the fall if I should include him in my top 200 in the world, he said, no, I'm not competing. Well, he's clearly competing, and he's competing really, really hard. And this is the last piece of the puzzle that I don't think people necessarily knew, is that this guy, he has the first athlete that I really saw this in was Sam Briggs back in the day. He just has this ability to go dark and stay there. And it's like, I don't know how to train that. I don't know how to teach that, but I've seen him do this in the gym day after day after day. And it's become just a normal thing for him. When this workout came out, I'd messaged him and I said, dude, Dallon's amazing, but I don't think he can touch you on this. Dallon Pepper's performance was phenomenal. For a guy that big to go that fast, I think if you look at the top 20 guys or whatever it was that was under 6 minutes, he may be the biggest guy by height and weight combination of any of them. And I think they were pushing each other. The environment facilitated it. But I'm happy that people get to see this side of Taylor, because I know that he presents on these podcasts and these shows that he does in a variety of different ways. But few people in the past maybe year since he's been doing that have gotten to see him actually work out. Now we're going to get 2 more weeks of it. But yeah, this is a good glimpse into the absolute beast of an athlete that Taylor Self is.
I think it's fun. I mean, I think if you look at the top 3 times, Colton's 5:19, and then Taylor 5:40, Colin 5:41. That's insane. And then everybody else kind of filters through. But not to discount Taylor, but to go back to Colton, like to be that far ahead of everybody else in such a simple workout speaks volumes. And we're going to see him this week too. I mean, we're going to see him do 24.2. We'll see what that looks like. I believe they were saying that all of the workouts for the Open this year were going to be very affiliate friendly, very much kind of dialed back, no tape on the floor, anything like that, which is really cool, because I think that's where athletes like Colton and Taylor are going to thrive, because you said it, they can go dark. Nobody goes dark like a pig farmer. You know what I mean?
3 a.m. It's pitch black in Iowa.
Yeah.
That's a real saying, by the way.
Look,
that's a real saying.
Other thing
I have a t-shirt.
The other thing is, if you watch Taylor do that workout, at the end of it, he's laying on the floor and there's a shot where his eyes literally are rolled up into his head. Everyone obviously saw that he puked. I mean, he was totally messed up by that. Colton, true to form in this case, although James Sprague would say not all the time, he just walks to the back of the room like nothing happened. He just takes a big breath and walks over there and composes himself, as Luis Oscar Mora, who by the way was 5th best in the world, is finishing this workout. And RJ Mestre, the other guy on the screen here, who is the top scorer for 16 and 17-year-old men, finished in 6:19 and looked pedestrian compared to these 2 guys, which is not pedestrian, by the way. There's nothing.
Yeah. I watched the Invictus athletes throw down on Friday when I got back into town, and they're, in the low 6s, and some of them they're on the floor and they're hurting and they're dying. And then, we all did the workout, and it was not fun. It was straight up not fun. And these guys are going minutes.
I know people who are in the low 12 minutes and were dying after the workout. I usually, if I ever fall on the floor after a workout and lay there, my kind of rule, everyone has these weird rules. I try to not stay there for more than a minute. I didn't get up. My camera was still running. I didn't get up for 5 minutes. I was just totally messed up. I think it was because I ate donuts at McDonald's at the competition gaming all weekend. But either way, yeah, a lot of people were hurting on this. Look at him. There he goes. He just walks to the back.
Yeah.
He does not put his hands on his knees at all for a good minute. Look at him. Same with Oscar.
It's a big fella.
Yes. Talk about a
Yep.
physique. My God.
Yeah. That's a big guy. He's wide. He is wide, like from shoulders. I mean, he's got that V going. And I mean,
And look,
look
and
at
honestly, like Bella said, we get to see Colton. We see him win. He wins week 1 of the Open because of Luis Oscar Mora's video. We have the video of it. We're going to get to see him go head to head with Medeiros in Medeiros' home turf, and then he's going to CrossFit Charlotte to take on Taylor in Taylor's home gym the final week of the Open. So, I know Taylor's self versus the world is a thing, but Taylor's doing 2 of those 3 workouts in his home gym and 1 workout down the road with his buddy at Crash. Colton, Nashville, Washington, Charlotte, no workouts at home. Currently leading the Worldwide Open. And I mean, it's really fun what they've put together there. Those guys have been fun on Instagram, kind of taking shots at each other. And all weekend long, I was sitting there just waiting because I talked to JR, and he reminded me that Jake Berman is one of the best at burpees in the world. And the 2 scores that were outstanding were Berman and Mertens. And I was like, dude, these are the only 2 guys left that I can think of, because Bossard already posted, Martin, Crouch, Koski, anyone that I had thought might have a chance already had posted. And then sure enough, I saw Berman come in at 6 minutes. And then I woke up this morning over here. Obviously, I think he posted while I was asleep. And I was like, not surprised to see him at the top, but 5:19, like I thought there was a limit to this thing in terms of human capacity that was around 5:30. And it turns out that for Colton, it was closer to 5:20.
Well, that's what blows my mind. I got a text on Thursday night saying, oh, Chandler went 5:49. And I had to wrap my brain around the fact that Chandler Smith could move that fast in that workout after watching Jeff, the fittest man on earth, do the workout. And like there's always so many things that go into doing an Open announcement live, but the fact that Chandler could go 5:49, and then that's not even a top 5 time.
Let's look at
blows my mind.
I know these guys are phenomenal. And Bella, you and I have seen Colin compete. We saw him. He was at, first of all, I watched Get With The Programming show in December, or listened to it, whatever, and they were talking about this guy as if he was an unknown guy. And they were doing like a top 100 assessment to haunt method evaluation to try to make them Open meaningful. He was 1 spot away from making the games last year in Europe, in the men. And then he had a top 5 finish at Madrid Championships. He's a smaller athlete, but he's incredibly strong for his size and age. He's coming up. And if you didn't know him before, which you could have known if you were following along with the semifinals last year, Madrid Championship this year, I was shocked those guys didn't know who he was. He shows up with a 5:41 here. He's on the first page of the leaderboard. This guy, he beat Victor Hoffer at the semis. Everyone knows Victor Hoffer. Like he's just a little, this happens sometimes. He's just a little bit more under the radar, but he should be on your radar. This guy is a beast. Absolutely. And he's going to be competitive in Europe at the semifinals. And I'm not surprised to see him in the top 10 on the Open leaderboard for this workout.
I think I'm not surprised by it at all, but it's funny because he wasn't one of the names that came up in my mind thinking, oh, he's going to do very well. But that doesn't mean that he's not a phenomenal and kind of freakish athlete. I think it's just, he's new. He's new to us. We've seen him live a couple times. Everybody else hasn't. And so he's also, I would say, on the quieter side. He's not one of those athletes that's like, hey, look at me training. This is what I'm doing. He's active enough, to be present on social, but he's not one of those athletes that you're going to follow and you're like, oh, I know exactly how he's doing, what he's doing, and when. So I'm excited to see someone new. I love when the young athletes come up and they're, making a name for themselves, fighting for the spots, showing that they deserve it. And he's one that I think all 3 of us could agree deserves it.
Yeah, and then 4th place, Thomas Stroyer. I reached out to Nikolai Rono, our buddy, out in Denmark, because that's where Thomas trains. And he finished 4th on this workout. And he said he's a former basketball player, super explosive, powerful athlete. He actually was on Butcher's Lab team that finished 15th at semifinals last year with Christina Egerbeck, who also had a phenomenal time on this workout. And yeah, Nico said he's been at Butcher's Lab as long as I've been there, as long as I can remember. And, sometimes there are these workouts that pop up that he's phenomenal at. I pulled up his games profile, and I think he did have a top 100 finish in the workout that you were referencing, Patrick, from a few years back. So I did not know this guy prior to today, really. But he's legit. He's been around. Workout fits his wheelhouse, and top 5. I mean, anytime you're in the top 5 in Open, it's pretty cool. So that's who Thomas Stroyer is. I think they did announce that they're running back, I think, the same team. There's only 8 qualifying spots out of Europe this year. The team division in Europe is going to be insanely competitive. We'll obviously talk about that at some point. But yeah, that's who Thomas Troyer is.
I mean, I think team division anywhere is going to be very competitive. And there's so many things. So many things. Yeah, that's Thomas. Yep. Continuing
But
on.
we'll get to the team's coverage, as it becomes appropriate during the season. Luis
Yeah.
Oscar Mora, we saw there with Colton. Carlos Ferreira, actually, again, we saw him in Madrid. He had I think he was 16th in Madrid and 7th at the French Throwdown. And his best performance at the Madrid Championships was on a workout that was called the Burpee Maker. So
Oh God,
it adds
that was
up.
gnarly. That one was
It
gnarly.
adds up that this would be a good workout for him. He and Fernando Geneza, who also had a really good performance, are coming out of Spain. I spoke with Daniel Lakai today, and he's like, "Yeah, this workout for those guys that makes sense. They're just like these ninjas, these guys that move super fast. They aren't the strongest athletes. If you see the heavy barbells come out, that's where they'll probably have their worst finish in a workout. But moving moderate loads quickly, body weight stuff, both Carlos Ferreira Coloma and Fernando Geneza, super efficient, and he ends up here in the top 10.
I want to talk about the person that's next.
It's all yours.
All the Aussies. Well, here's the thing. I think both Australian men and Australian women did very well. Bailey coming with 546, Jay 551. And I would say arguably they're the two fittest in Australia, as we've seen right now through off season and what they're doing now. And I'm so stoked.
No. Ricky
No?
Gerardis. And then those two.
Okay. I mean, come on to Brisbane. I see Jay on top of the podium and I see Bailey right next to him.
You're calling those two guys to beat Ricky at semis.
Yeah. And it's not because I don't love Ricky.
Look.
I love Ricky.
Ricky, no, but Bella, I don't like to argue, but Ricky was second in Dubai, first at Wadapalooza, and those guys don't have competition results like that.
And that's fine. I'm not saying I'm saying based on what I've seen with them since December, and you saw them in Dubai. So it's recent, but I think it's going to be 1 and 2. I think Bailey's trajectory is incredible.
And we mentioned this on the show yesterday. I basically think that there's a chance for the Australian men to get a 4th spot if everyone competes, but it's a very small chance. If they don't, it's just a miserable year to be anyone other than Bailey, Martin, Jay Croucher.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
I agree with you, Brian. But I also think, I mean, on that note, getting extra spots, definitely the women won't get it now. So fingers crossed, because it would be really fun to have 4 Oceania men coming out. I think they're fit enough.
Well, this is what I said. I'll just say it again from yesterday's show. Like, this gives me flashbacks to Tia, Cara, and Jamie. When you had 3 athletes in the top 12 in the world and there's no opportunity for you to earn another spot, that's when you know there's a flaw with the system. And this is what the situation is here. Everybody knows that Ricky would have been in the top 5 at the games if he competed last year healthy. That would drop Bailey down to 13th. And then you have 3 guys in the top 13 in the world who are all still on an upward positive trajectory, seemingly only getting better. And there's no chance for them to earn an extra spot. It's like, I've ran these models dating back to 2018. This is where we need to see a refinement to the worldwide ranking system, so that when the density of elite athletes in one region does become like this, which we're seeing right now in Oceania for the men's side, that they get an extra spot. Because otherwise, it's almost like what happens with the teenage athletes. Because there's no collegiate division, they just disappear for 2 or 3 years. But if you disappear for the years of 18, 19, 20, and you just happen to make it when you're 21, you can still have a 10-year career if you're good enough. But if you are just a 24-year-old guy who's a savage in Australia right now, Peter Ellis, for example, and these 3 guys are in your way, you might not make it for the next 3 seasons, 4 seasons. And by the time you make it, your career is cut in half and you don't get a chance to reach out there. So that's where I think that if you want to have this global sport and you want to have this opportunity for new athletes from around the world to actually come up, they don't need 4 spots 10 years from now, maybe. Maybe they need 6 spots. We don't know. But right now, they definitely have a high enough caliber of athlete at the top to yield an extra spot. And I don't think that the system's going to give them one.
I mean, I agree with you. I also think it's why you're seeing a lot of athletes moving to North America and other places and then trying to compete out of those regions. Poor Ellie Turner, getting the big fat no that you can't compete in North America. Now she's going to have to battle it out. At least she doesn't have to go against Tia in Australia. Lucky her. You know, that's one of those
Well,
spots
and I
that
mean, look,
if Tia's there, she's going to make it. So,
yeah, to make it anywhere. And Allie has made it. You know, she's made it with Cara in the field. She's made it with T in the field a few years back. She made it with both of them in the field one year. Like she's good. She's great. And you know, it's not that she doesn't want to compete in Oceania because she can't make it there. She wants to compete
right.
in North America because she lives here.
Yeah.
That's it. Anyone else, Patrick, that you want to highlight here from the top 10? I mean, I think we should mention Will Morad. Obviously, you're a good buddy of yours.
Yeah, Will. I mean, you know, he kind of he's been dealing with some injuries, which has been kind of like the story of Will. I mean, when he got diagnosed with a false autoimmune disease, you know, for him coming back in 2019 and then doing so well in 2019, but then also like tearing his hamstring. It's crazy. But to see him at the top of that leaderboard, he actually did this workout with Brooke Wells. It looks like him and Brooke have been doing, you know, obviously Brooke is working out. Looks like her home base is going to be Trivium, which was where she originally started, where Will is, I think, a part owner there. And it looks like, and Will has left Proven as well. He's not training with Proven. He's kind of going at it his own. I don't know who he's training with. I mean, in terms of training camp, but it looks like him and Brooke are training together, at least most of the time. They did the workout together. I was trying the effort. Apparently, Brooke Wells shot the workout with Will. They did this workout together. So, yeah, I definitely will. It's cool to see him up there. You just never know with him. A healthy Will is always a dangerous Will. I mean, healthy Will is a top 20 games athlete, and he's shown that despite how old he is and how long he's been in the game, because he's just one of those guys that just won't go away, and I'm here for it. I mean, he's going to be 35 this year for the game, so he would actually be, you know, yeah. I mean,
well, and we maybe we'll flip over later on to the Masters 35 to 39 leaderboard just to give a little glimpse into some of the savage OG athletes that are aging into that division, many of whom have been at the games recently, teams or individuals, and who still could potentially have a chance to. And then obviously Austin Hatfield is continuing to put his name on the map. He's gotten an increased amount of coverage since winning Crash Crucible, having some good performances down in Wadapalooza. I would say not a surprise on a workout like this to see him up here at the top. Just crazy engine, good build for it, and obviously we're going to be seeing more of him. So there are a couple athletes in the top of the leaderboard: Cale Lehman, Nicholas Bidone, who I haven't really been able to track down any information on. So if anyone has something interesting on them, let us know. But other than that, it's a lot of familiar names on the men's side. And this is the thing, like, Bella said, the open workouts are really affiliate friendly. And yet, here we are, one dumbbell, nothing else in sight, nothing high skill. And most of the names at the top of the leaderboard are elite athletes in this sport that are doing this, professionally and full time.
Question: did anybody go through and find an average height for the athletes on like the top 20? I'm wondering, just out of curiosity. We're looking through these names.
5'1", 132 pounds.
I feel like weight's not even a factor. I feel like on average, top 20 guys for this one is like a 5'8" athlete, which is so OG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Taylor's like 5'11". Caron is probably about 5'11". Those are probably two of the taller guys that are having top scores here.
Yeah. I do want to give a shout out to Noah. I mean, Noah's done this, I think, the last 2 years where he does the open workout and he throws it up immediately, enters the score. And it seems like that's why I like. I mean, I know there's a lot of flack about, the open doesn't matter, or, back in the old days of regionals and the open meeting so much, you had a lot of athletes that waited till like 10 minutes before registration before they throw the stuff out there when they're retesting and stuff like that. And I think it's cool. It makes these conversations more worthwhile when someone like Chandler throws up his 549 and a Noah, and it gives, it's kind of cool. I mean, you can't tell me Colton, who I think he did his Saturday, he wasn't watching Taylor Self and Dallin going at it. And he's like, you know what? The bar's set. Might as well, Yeah. And at the end of the day, the open does matter in a way. If you win $15,000 for doing 3 workouts.
And they still
mean,
pay
why?
out the. I'm pretty sure they still pay out the $2,024 to the winner of each
Yes,
week of
for the
the
winner.
Open.
Yeah.
So
So
I
I mean,
think
something like
Colton just reached into Taylor's pocket and stole $2,000 from him this weekend.
But it's
basically,
also like
yeah.
I feel like it's like kind of a confidence thing too. It's like for someone like Chandler and Noah who throw up times, 551, 549, they're like, beat that. Like, good luck, beat that. I don't think if you had talked to Chandler on Thursday evening and you said, hey, yeah, so Colton's gonna go 519, I don't think Chandler would have believed you. I don't think any of them would believe you.
Yeah.
No,
So it's
and
just a
while we're
confidence.
and here we, Patrick's trying to feature a young athlete there, Elijah Subiano. But when we're scrolling into this region of the leaderboard on the men's side, and Bella's asking about their height, I mean, Noah is pretty short, Scott's pretty short, Ben Garrard very short, Subiano's not that tall, Zeke Grove, one of the shorter athletes ever made the games, and there's Dallin Pepper, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Of all these
Yeah.
guys that are under 6 minutes, like that,
Yeah.
like obviously Taylor got the credit that he was due for that workout, but to me, Dallin's performance in that workout was on par in terms of the impressiveness. And he's like 6'1", I think, and he's got to weigh like 220. And maybe the height, maybe the weight doesn't matter, but for a bigger athlete, that if the average is probably now closer to 5'10", 5'11" amongst elite athletes, and you're looking at guys like Vellner, there was just over 6 minutes. Hopper, there was just over 6 minutes. Like they're very impressive, and Dallin was like 5 to 10 seconds faster. Colton did it Friday morning.
That's cool. Good to know, Renata. Thank you. But no, I mean, Dallin, it was so impressive to watch that big guy move. And Taylor's not, I mean, Taylor's probably about 5'10", 5'11", right?
5'11", yeah.
Yeah, 5'11". So he's one of the taller athletes in this field as well. So that's what makes it equally impressive. And then you see what Jason Hopper did, and you see what James Sprague did. And James Sprague was another guy. When I looked at the 21.2, he had a top 15 score as well. And then to see him come back, I think Sprague was like 6'11" or something like that. But I mean, we'll go further down this list. I mean, Vellner with 6'01", Vellner's about 5'9", 5'10".
And you got Vuniak here and Jake Berman, Augustine Raquelme, Jona Koski. These are the guys you would expect on this workout to do very well.
Yeah.
So then,
But
like you're talking about, these taller guys, it's impressive in a different way.
Yeah.
But then, we're going down this list, and you see him.
I like seeing Tudor Magda's name there. Because Tudor Magda he's developed, a bit of a reputation at a young age of being really good at certain things and maybe unwilling to hurt when he needs to hurt. Well, you're going to have a top 50 performance on this score. Unless you're Colton Mertens, it's going to hurt.
Absolutely going to hurt.
And I'm going to say it must have hurt for Colton too. He just has this kind of mentality of I'm not going to let anyone know.
Well, someone needs to ask him. Someone should just ask. Hey, did it hurt when you fell from heaven? Like, throw something nice in there at the end.
By the way,
you get there.
You see this? Look at the screen. Look at his profile pic.
Scary.
I know.
That's scary.
Should we flip over to the girls?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, sure. Let's switch over to the girls. Sorry.
I like
the ladies.
I think the girls is fun.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, this happens a lot in the open, especially with like the opening workout. You have a name that not many people are familiar with that kind of sticks out. And the immediate thought is like, okay, it's a fake score or whatnot. But I've known that name Mirjam for a while. I know her through the IF3. She finished at the World. She finished on the podium at the Worlds this past year. And she's a high rocks athlete. So when it comes to body weight movements, but she's a very impressive athlete. If you go to her YouTube channel, I'll pull it up here real quick. Share this tab instead. She did this workout. I noticed this when I was doing some research on her. Her doing this 63 unbroken back squats at 100 kilograms. You don't see many high. Many.
Oh.
Yeah. So 100 kilograms. What's that convert to, Brian?
More than I can do.
Yeah.
100 is like 220.
It's like it's about 220, 223, 225. but she did
Yeah.
63 unbroken, and so that shows
That's
you.
insane.
Yeah.
Did she?
So
Was she
she's a high rock.
walking the next day?
I don't. Well, she's a high rocks athlete. Knowing her, she probably ran a 10K the next day. Oh, but
Wow.
I mean, so she might be a legit athlete. I mean, she didn't really put an score up in 2023. I don't know why I'm so efforting that, but in 2022 she was 54th in the Open. So she does have a background. She's only 22 years old, I believe.
Excuse me for a second, Patrick. My back was feeling a little tight, so just giving it some relief.
I haven't tried that yet. Just saying, I haven't tried it yet.
Carl, we need to get your address. We'll have Carl send you some. But yeah, in terms, Mirjam's perfect example, and this is obviously really shitty camera work. She'll learn. But
is that on purpose? No.
But if you look at her build, she's not like what you expect a high rocks athlete to look like. But she's a competitor. She shares the world record in high rocks doubles. So, who knows? Who knows how she'll do? So I wouldn't expect this to be a fluke, her winning this event. But going back to it, she wins with 539. Put her score. She was one of the first people to enter her score. You can watch the video, and actually, they brought this feature back. Me and Brian were talking about it. Is where you can actually vote if you take the judges' course. You can actually vote to see if it's a good video, needs to be looked at, or a workout that doesn't need to be cited.
Obviously, Andrew Hiller has been asking for that to come back for a couple of years now, and other people have kind of jumped on board with that request as well. So It's very cool to see that there. For the Open, it's nice, but the critical stage of the season for the top athletes is quarterfinals. I'll be curious to see if that still exists during quarterfinals. I think it should, because the time pressure and the amount of people whose videos need to be reviewed to make the quarterfinal selection process as accurate as possible is immense. That's where you could really lean into that feature. So cool to see it here. Would be even better, I think, in quarterfinals this year.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, Bella. I have been, since Wadapalooza, so I want to say even more negative words, just surprised that nobody has talked about Julia Hannaford.
Okay,
everybody,
no.
Yeah, no. Wait. I'm not saying. Okay, I don't want to say nobody in the world. I want to say none of the prominent or regular commentators in North America have given her the credit that I think she is due. Everyone is talking about Gracie Walton, and I would say that all of the respect that Grace is getting as an athlete should be equally distributed to Julia, and has not been. But unlike most of these guys, you've seen them compete. And I think I've asked you about her before when we were covering Wadapalooza, but for anyone who maybe missed that, tell us about her, please.
So I agree with you. Put some respect on the girl's name. She's a freaking, I was going to say the other F word, she's a freaking unit. She's so fit and so strong. I think what it honestly comes down to between Gracie and Julia, it comes down to the media that they've had, and just the way that they've been able to kind of get a little bit more attention on Instagram. I think Grace partnering with specific brands, being with underdogs, just having specific performances at Torian, I think she was able to quickly get a little bit more attention. And then once you get a little bit of attention in CrossFit, a lot of people, they'll just start to follow you and they'll see you through, and more people will talk about you. Julia, on the other hand, she wasn't as active, didn't have the greatest performances at Torian. So not a lot of people, and honestly, not a lot of people keep up with Torian or other events in Australia, because they're like, well, Tia's going to win or Jamie's going to win.
Right. But
she
beat
care.
Gracie in Miami.
Right. Because she's fit and she's fun to watch too. I mean, wait, can you put up the picture of her in the cowboy hat? That's it. That's Julia Hannaford right there. This is our girl.
So let me ask you this.
Strong, she's fit, she's fast. If you told me that she was going to have a top 5 time in the world on this workout, I would have said, yeah, but who's going to beat her?
Even Patrick wouldn't have said Mirjam.
No,
I wouldn't.
So
she's also this
I'm going to throw a I'm going to throw a question out here for you.
Okay.
That Oceanic women's field, it's a little bit more open with. We know Tia's not competing there. We have Ellie Turner, we have Maddie Sturt, we have Caitlin Van Zyl. It's going to still be competitive. Those are the kind of the top three. Otherwise, last year over there. Do you see a kind of an unequal playing field for Gracie and Julia in terms of the potential to make the games this year? Maybe sneak that third spot, or do you think that one of them has the advantage?
No, I think it comes down to programming, because I also think Jamie Simmons going team. Now we have Maddie Sturt back in the equation. So now, truly, to be honest with you, I think it's a completely open podium, and it's going to come down to programming. Is there going to be a heavy lift? What's the heavy lift going to be? How much running is going to be in it? How much high volume gymnastics is going to be in it? What does it look like for these athletes to be pressing overhead and walking on their hands? I think Gracie is a better gymnast, but I think Julia is a better weightlifter. So where are we going to see the balance in the workouts at semis? Could be anybody's game. But also, there's Maddie, and I think Maddie kind of said, hey, I'm on my comeback tour. Look at what I can do. And so seeing Tia's not coming back, I mean, going to Tori, and I'm kind of bummed that she's not going to be there, but I'm very excited to have a completely wide open field.
Tia's not going to be in Torian?
No, she'll be at North America. I mean, it makes sense.
I know.
But that's the thing. I think having a
I'm just going to reiterate. I have the same stance that I've always had on this, and I think Tia is a great example. Nobody's questioning the fact that she lives in North America. She obviously also spends time in Australia and is a citizen there. And I feel like the same way I always have, that she should have the opportunity to choose, which she basically does, and she's choosing to do it in North America this year, which is fine. I think that the fact that the podium is wide open, like Bella was talking about, Oceania is going to make for an extremely compelling competition. It's going to give an opportunity for maybe a resurgence, like you said, of a Maddie Sturt, a breakthrough, like someone like a Van Zyl on the individual side who's had the team success, or some of these younger athletes to kind of elevate and take that step forward. Don't forget, we saw Emily DeRoy do it last year, and we're gonna see someone else do it this year, at least one.
Yeah, I mean, that's D3, because Emily's even on team. All of these athletes are going team this year, which is so much fun, but that even thins out the individual field even more.
And I mentioned this to Brian. It's like like Maddie Sturt, who's been fighting to go back to the game since 2017, and this is her best chance to do that. And part of it is twofold, that she can thank Tia for that. One, Tia for not competing in Oceania, and two, Tia improving in her new training program, because she is now
it's interesting. It's really interesting, actually, because a lot of the most well-known proven athletes have moved on from proven over the last couple of years, but in the meantime, Jay Crouch and Maddie Sturt have linked up with proven, and have both shown improvements since doing so. And it feels like there's just a group of people that really like to hit on the athletes that are leaving training camps, and at the expense of not focusing on the ones that are joining them. The evolution of athletes and where they choose to train is a different path for every athlete. Obviously, there's athletes that have had success at proven, and there's athletes that are going there now that are having increased success. I mean, look, we saw Colton Mertens and Oscar Mora, 2 in the top 5. We saw what Jay Crouch has done, top 10 performances at the games and at Rogue. So the training, the training culture there, and the coaches there have the capacity to either create because look, some athletes, Colton Mertens is a good example. Like, I don't think any one training coach or program got him to where he is. He got him to where he is. But but once you get to that level, to be able to manage the fine tuning that requires to continue to move up the leaderboard or to stay there, that does take some skill. It does take to have someone in your corner, whether it's year round or at a competition. And every athlete coach relationship is different. And just because it wasn't working for this person doesn't mean that it's not going to be a thriving environment for the next person. And for Jay and Maddie, that's what it appears to be right now.
Yeah. And people forget that.
Go ahead, Pat.
People forget that Jay and Maddie, they were with Rob Forte for the longest time. And when you're with someone that long and you're kind of not saying stagnant, but you're seeing people kind of pass you up, why not make that change? And from the outside looking in, especially after seeing Jay's performance last year and then seeing Maddie this offseason, it looks like it was a smart move by them. And the thing is, they're both still young. They're still both under 25 or 25 years old. So it's
Maybe
great.
a
So
little older, I think.
yeah, I think Maddie's a little bit older, but again, for someone like Maddie who hasn't been at the games since 2017, who is looked at as the next Australian Oceania star, she has a really good chance to come out of this region. And but she's gonna have tough competition from up and comers like Julia, Gracie, and some of the other Oceania athletes. Go ahead, Bella.
No, I was going to say, I mean, on the note of athletes changing camps and things like that, athletes will continue to evolve and will continue, just like this guy is saying, they continue to evolve.
That
And
guy, that's Carl. That's HGR CBD.
Hi, Carl. Love you.
Yeah.
I think, athletes evolve, and I think what might be your weakness and why you choose a certain program in the beginning of your training journey, things might change, and that program might get you very good and fill all of the holes in a certain area. And then you become a different athlete, and then new holes and new weaknesses come up, and you have to reevaluate. It's not a bad thing to change training programs if it's what's best for you. Not a bad thing at all. And I think, I mean, it's a beautiful thing that there are so many options for these athletes to take. Now, do I think there's some that are better than others? Yes. Some that have more proven success in recent years? Yes. But every athlete's different, and everybody requires something different when it comes to coaching, programming, all of those. So we'll see what happens.
Hey, Brian, I don't mean to interrupt, but I know that this is a 24.1 recap show, a leaderboard show. But this is something we hit on earlier, where the games exemption. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up, and we can kind of talk about it before, because obviously we're going to bring it up while we go through this. So,
did Chris just email us?
Yes, Chris just emailed the games exemptions list. So if you don't, here we go. And I will
breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. So
breaking news with the B.Friendly fitness team.
I know. So Chris Madigan, this is something Brian you requested this. I mean, everyone's been requesting this since the came out, but I know you've been really on Chris about getting this out to you. But a CrossFit released a list of athletes granted region exemptions for the season. All right, so that's good for someone like Carlos, who is in the U.S. Army, lives in Korea. He's out of the Army. He actually was a part of that Korean team that made it last year. He finally got his exemption, so he's going to be competing.
Dude, this guy he was competing in the Pacific Regional when it was like Asia and Oceania
2014.
Combined. So long ago. So it's like no brainer for someone like this. It makes a ton of sense. This is why the rule should exist.
Okay. Katrin, no surprise there. Evie Hollis, which we talked about yesterday. I'm really happy for her. We knew about Roman.
Yep, I think she'll be in the mix in Asia, as we mentioned yesterday. Yep. Roman, obviously. And there are athletes on here that we don't know, athletes that maybe may not make a huge impact, but that doesn't matter because they're probably they live in these places. That's why they're getting the opportunity to compete there.
This is a very extensive list.
Being the top. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a very extensive list, I would say. And it looks like a lot of this is Asia.
Asia's pretty big.
Yeah.
Dennis Samsonoff, been in the North America East.
Well, I mean, Samsonoff was
he lives here.
Yes.
And he was one of those guys a couple years ago that was having difficulty. If he had gone back to compete in Asia, it would have been difficult for him to get back in a reasonable amount of time. So for him, it's a massive. It basically allows him to compete in the season.
Yeah, for those that know, he's the one known as the fittest wizard, and we talked about Tia officially getting to North America East.
Yeah.
I'm really like I said, it looks like Asia got a lot of exemptions, and that might be a good thing for Asia. I mean, kind of Asia's.
Yeah, I mean, Alex. I know that name, Alex Millington. I think he's from the UK and decent athlete. So, there's always, we'll see. We'll see if any of these guys show up at semifinals and end up making an impact there, top 10, top 5, or maybe challenge for one of those spots. But no, this is great. The fact that we can get something like this from CrossFit is obviously really nice. We know that this is going on. We hear them talking. They have addressed the fact, hey, we review all of these things, whatever. Some of the athletes that are more well known, we might hear about it earlier on. But to have this list is super nice. So appreciate Chris and the guys at CrossFit making that accessible for us.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
So, yeah. All right, we'll go back to this list here. Sorry, a little sidetrack there for a little bit, but it'll come in handy. Moving
Back to the
along.
girly pops.
Yeah. We
I'll
have an
I'll bail
athlete.
you out on this one. This is
All right, thank you.
This is from she comes from the Basque region of Spain. She was at the Madrid Championships. She was also at Pamplona Pixel Arena Games. Alasna Eguiazabla is the kind of the English
Alasne.
pronunciation. Yeah, in you can have. Yeah, she's very similar, honestly, to Geneza, Fernando Geneza, who I mentioned on the men's side. Just when you put something in front of her that doesn't have a weightlifting limit, and she's going to be competitive at those types of competitions. I mean, so burpees and dumbbell snatch for an athlete like this is right in her wheelhouse, and it's not a fluke or a mistake that she's have a top 3 performance on this. She's very fit, and this is right up her wheelhouse. The only North American woman who cracks the top 10 this year, or maybe there was a Canadian, the only United States representative, Fee Sagafi. I think most people know Fee. No shocker here. I would say that outside of the top 3 are actually probably the least known. 4 through 10, I would say Freya Moosbrugger is the biggest surprise to me.
100%.
I totally agree with you.
100%.
Where did she come from? Good for her.
She's from Canada.
Thanks. I know what her passport says, but I'm saying what happened to her in the last year? Like, what has she been doing? Let's have her on. Let's have a chat.
I've been efforting that, and Freya, if you're listening, I doubt she is, but I've been talking to her, and I actually wanted to bring her on to kind of talk about their journey last year. She is now a training tank athlete. She is training under Perrin is her coach. She's living in Montreal. Her home gym, I believe, her home gym there is she's actually training with what's the Canadian pro.
Pro One Montreal.
Yeah, Pro One. I think that's good. That's been where she's been training at. She's not with Michelle Latanda anymore, but she decided to stay in Montreal. Even though last year she competed out in the West, this year she's going to compete in the East because she felt like that's where she lives at, and it's only fair. So that's kind of what
the density. The density of the top women in North America seems to be skewing heavy towards the East this year.
It is, and me and her kind of had a discussion with that, but she's fine with it. She's in a better place of talking.
Well,
to her.
The thing is, they got more spots last year, and they may even get more this year. Like, don't be surprised if it ends up being like 12 or 13 in North America East and 7 or 8 in North America West this year.
Yeah,
makes sense
for the women. For the women. But
Freya's someone she could be someone that look for a comeback this year. She was very obviously.
Oh, did she make an appearance on Comeback Canyons?
Probably not. Probably not. But she's definitely someone to keep an eye out on, John Young, if you're listening. But Freya, definitely keep an eye on her. Definitely would love to get her on the show soon. So hopefully we can. But yeah, very interesting story. She's mentally there. We all just talk lately about some of these young athletes who are experiencing burnout, different levels of mental just mental roadblocks. She would be a good person to kind of come from a different area, different state of mind.
Dude, and the cool thing about this top of the leaderboard, you mentioned Krista Holt's age. Jamie Simmons is pushing over 30. Valentina Magalati's 33 or 34. So we've got these like minus 23 and then 30 plus women that are all showing up in the top 10 here in pretty good balance.
Yeah,
I was waiting for you to say they're old.
There.
Yep.
Like, don't you dare.
They're all younger than me. I think they're all still younger than me. But
Amy Kringle.
This was a really good performance for Amy Kringle. And Ellie Hiller down there, PC. Someone called you out in the comments when you picked Ellie Turner and said that you should have picked Ellie Hiller. And Ellie Hiller would have been a great pick for this workout. She competed at Crash. We got to talk to her a bit there, and very good athlete and clearly an elite performance here, pushing towards that 6-minute mark. Carolyn Prevost, another athlete
I got called out for that
on your comments by Alexis Detroit.
Her partner
called her out. Yep. And
Carolyn, she knows I have a lot of love for her, so that was my bad on that one. But she's one of our favorites.
Lucy McGonigal is still
Yes.
17 years old, and her score was, what is it, 6.0 something? It was like 40 seconds faster than the next person in her age group. Like twice as dominant against her age group as Colton was against the world. So very impressive from McGonigal. But we obviously know she's good. People got to see her compete a little bit this offseason as well. They didn't, unless they were in Birmingham, UK, physically. No one liked that joke. Okay.
You're so funny.
I did.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good.
Oh.
I was reaching out to some of the people that I know in different parts of the world to try to find out information on these athletes. The Aphrodite from Greece, I found out very little about her, and the girl from France who shows up a little bit for that, Celia Gerard, both are relatively unknown to top level athletes in those countries. But this happens in the Open all the time, where you have these kind of breakthrough athletes, like Patrick said, especially on week 1. There's Celia at the 22 mark, and then in sprinkling in here are podium games athletes from last year, Ariel Lowen and Emma Lawson, plus Lindsay Lane, who was the champion at Crash Crucible. So it's like on the women's side, I saw this where it was like a lot of men that we recognize and a couple different ones. I felt like there was a really big spread of women, from like some of the best in the world to some up-and-comers that are gaining some popularity, to some totally unknowns, old and young, relatively speaking. And so it's like a pretty cool blend of the top 25 on the women's side, which I think is just basically a credit to this workout in general being very accessible. A lot of different demographics of people can perform at the elite level, and it makes it very doable for a lot of demographics for us when we're at the community level.
I have 2 things on that one. I think the way that the leaderboard looks here for the women reflects how it also looked for the women going into the elite at Wodapalooza back in January. I think I remember in our show, we're like, oh, wow, this is a very global kind of newcomer roster. Like, these are new people to most CrossFit fans looking at how it's going to go. And I would say the top 20 here for the women is very similar. There's a lot of new faces, some familiar faces, but newness is a good thing. And then to your point, this workout being so simple, and you don't need a lot of competition experience to do this one and to do it well, because the name of the game for this one was just full send. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, and you're like me and you're like, wow, I'm running on 4 hours of sleep, I really just don't want to do another burpee. I really don't. It's just, it's different. Where I think if we had something a little bit more complicated, adding something, a little bit more high skill, which I don't believe we'll see for the Open, but
we may not see ring muscle ups or wall facing handstand push-ups, but we'll see something more complicated than burpee and dumbbell snatch.
Yes, maybe. Who knows? We'll find out.
I think we'll get at least a toes to bar, a chest to bar pull up, a snatch of a lightweight. No snatching probably, but I would say both of those gymnastics moves would be more difficult than either of these.
Yes. Oh, there's our girl, Annika.
Yep.
And I think it's fun. I think the diversity of experience for the women's field is very exciting to me.
Here's
impressed with Matilda Garnes.
Yes. A longer athlete, taller athlete.
And she's going team.
Going team, but she's elite in upper body pressing, and I know that we haven't really talked about it. But obviously there's a pressing component there, and not just for the elite athletes. It's not just their muscle snatching, the dumbbell. So there's that little press out at the top, coupled with the press off the floor on the burpee. So, but still a good performance. It's similar to the Vellner, the Sprague, the Hopper, the Pepper on the men's side that we talked about. An athlete who's 5'7" or above on the women's side, having a top 50 score here when a lot of these ladies are 5'4" and shorter. Pretty good performance for her. Did I just see Tia Claire Toomey's name?
You did. I was going to get to it, but now we get into top 50. Here's another athlete that Sungyeon Choi we talked about. It looks like she's it's hard to tell because we haven't seen anything with high skill or barbell, but finishing 51st with the time of 6:28. Then we have Danny Spiegel. We have a lot of.
How crazy is this? That Danny Spiegel and Rebecca Fuselier had the exact same time on this workout. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's
like two different athletes. Two completely different
humans.
Yep.
No, and we talked about this after Wadapalooza, is that because of the rain and the changes that they were forced to make, it would have totally altered my perspective. When you added in all those burpees, those extra presses, take away the dynamic, take away the barbell cycling, I would have probably increased Fusile by 5 and decreased Spigo by 5. Well, this workout features things that Fusile should be amazing at, and that in theory would kind of slow Danny down relative to some things that she's obviously world class in. And no, here they are, not only close, on the same second. I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
That's so fun.
Yeah, that's what the Open's about. Lauren Weeks, speaking of high rock, she's an endurance athlete. She does a lot of Tough Mudders. I think she competed at the games on a team back in the 2016, perhaps. But it looks like another high rocks athlete kind of crossing over and giving the Open a shot. And then you have Tia.
I wonder.
And there it is, North American East.
Like Tia, to me, I feel like she could have won this workout if she wanted to, at least in the past. Perhaps. Or at least been in the top 5. I would just be curious of not her, just what her mindset was doing this workout.
I think it's that, and it's also, when do you push? This isn't the quarterfinals. That's when it really matters. Maybe she's just doing what she needs to do to get by. That's not necessarily a bad thing. If you don't want to actually full send the Open and you're Tia-Clair Toomey and I'm gonna go back to the games. Okay, do what you need to do.
And just getting by is still 62nd and an absolutely mind-blowing time for the other 170,000 women that signed up for the Open.
Exactly.
So looking at, I bring it back, looking at like a similar workout with 21.2, Tia finished 11th in the world at that event. So we know she has capacity with these events. So my question is, we all know that she's dealing with an injury with the mommy virus, as they call it. So I wonder if that has to play in it. I mean, just
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that injury before, but it totally makes sense. I mean, when I hang out with like my friends' kids that have the kids will let me hold them, like I can't last like 5 minutes, and I'm like, hey, you want to take this kid back? And moms just hold their kids all day, and they just find a way to do it because that's what moms do.
I guess the equivalent of that. Yeah. Shout out to moms. I guess the equivalent of something like that is like, I can only akin that to something like carpal tunnel syndrome. I heard it's very similar, but maybe a little bit more painful because you're actually dealing with weight and grab, but it's right around the thumb region. So obviously this is something that, they said recovery of that without surgery takes like 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm sure she's maybe in that, like, just precautionary. So maybe she just probably didn't push very hard, but any indication is like this, a workout like this, yes, I would be surprised that she wasn't top 20, or if not, like I said, winning this event. But that could be the main reason why. It's just like, it's the Open. Why push yourself dealing with an injury? And so but yeah, Tia 62nd place tied. You're gonna see a lot of ties in a lot of ties, obviously.
It was interesting. I was curious about that when reading through the scorecard. Because they said if you don't finish the round of 15s, your tiebreak is when you finish the round of 21. If you don't finish the round of 9, your tiebreak is when you finish the round of 15. But if you do finish the workout, there's no tiebreak. And I was like, well, why? Why not? Why don't you just put a tiebreak when you finish the round of 15?
Because I don't know. That's not really like the tiebreak. You know what I mean? Like
I guess it's not gonna. It's probably not gonna matter. But I guess maybe I'm just too much in those. When I go to these competitions, I usually advise like, if you can find ways to avoid having ties on the leaderboard, avoid it. But yeah, maybe it's just me overthinking it.
I think it'll all shake out the way it's supposed to shake out.
Yeah, especially for Open to quarters this year.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom by Bella. Hey, I want to kind of bring something up and get you guys a thought on this. Last year, Hitler famously made a fake account and entered some scored. I forgot what athlete he used.
It was but he was pretending to be the guy from the Green Arrow, right?
Yeah, but he used someone else's video to submit, and it actually passed. Or I'm trying to find his.
I think
But
you need to
anyways,
put a space between MC and Lovin.
maybe. But anyways, Brian brought this up to me, and then just kind of looking into it. Maybe I have to do that. I forgot what place.
No chance that Bella's seen this yet, but there's a guy on the leaderboard that's
I'll
his
find
first
it.
name is listed as MC and his last name is Lovin, McLovin, and he has the picture from what's the movie? Whatever, everyone knows the movie.
From Superbad.
Superbad,
right?
And I saw this and I was like, "Come on!" So I clicked on the profile, no data. This is his first year competing, McLovin, MC Lovin. And I said it to Patrick. I was like, "Patrick, is this Hiller?" And
it's
so
probably
Patrick
Cave Dastro.
And maybe it's Cave Dastro. So Patrick clicked on the guy's video because he has a video uploaded. And the video is of a different athlete who's tied on the same number of points, the same score as him.
So do you think it's him?
Which is what Andrew did last year. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's
let's
like
find
the
him.
name.
Wait, let's find
the name
him.
jumps off the page because it's.
I thought he was in the 630s.
And we didn't have to search. We didn't have to search very hard to find out that he has no previous open experience, and he used another athlete's video, which is these are some things that may be worth.
Nick,
640.
Okay, go to his video. His judge was Adrian Bosman. Okay, doubt it. Doubt it was Boz.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But if you go to the video,
yeah,
it's another athlete who identifies as. One second. It says it on the video. Luca Buisson, 24.1, 18 to 34 RX.
It's a weird way.
And that's his name. Luca Buisson.
Luca.
HOMMES means men in French, by the way.
Yeah. So, but if he put his score as 640, and if you watch his video, it's not 640. So,
what is it?
Obviously, so the video doesn't match up with the time. Hold on. So, what? Wait a minute. Maybe it might have been. I thought it didn't.
It says 540.
I think I think it does because if you go back to the open leaderboard, this guy is listed independently on the leaderboard as Luca Buisson with also a time of 640.
Okay.
So it's probably him. Maybe he's just being funny.
Yeah.
Wait, a rejected submission.
Someone already rejected. So, but anyways, just something to keep an eye on. I don't know. Maybe we might just ruin a Hiller video.
Or just have him on.
Or we crack the code.
Have him on. Yeah. Send him a DM. Hey, pal, let's have a chat.
McLovin?
Yeah. No, send it to the other guy.
Luca Buisson?
Yeah, send it to Luca. Invite him on the show. We'll bring a translator, and we'll figure out if that's who it is.
We'll get Marius.
Yeah. Or we can get Guillaume on here. Either way.
Yeah. Oh,
that's who I
Bella,
asked.
I know you got to get going. Is there anything that you want to say regarding the 24.1? Any other things? I mean, you mentioned Invictus. You got to see Lauren Stallwood and Emily Rethwell.
Oh my gosh.
They had some top 50 scores. I mean, anything you want to recap for your experience from 24.1 or spotlight an athlete?
Honestly, I think I'm just very excited for how things are shaping up. I mean, I'm not an Invictus athlete, but it's been really fun to be part of their community when I can and just drop in and see the athletes, see how they're doing. I'm very excited for Wahab to compete. He's become one of my buddies out here, and he is going indie. He'll compete out of Asia, lives out here. And I think, something we talk about all the time is the young talent. And he's one of those young, very talented athletes that I am very stoked to watch compete this year. He's from Kuwait, so keep an eye out for him.
Oh, nice. And you were this past weekend, you were busy too. You were announcing the turf games, which the Invictus team competed at as well, minus Devin. They subbed in Jesse for Devin. But how they look?
They look great. If
Okay.
that's the team, they look great. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's
And
fun. Turf games is always a good time. It's not CrossFit, and that was something. I mean, Invictus brought several teams, and that was something that I actually, you know, they're all my buddies, and I had to get onto them a little bit about it
yeah.
in kind of a
Yeah.
mom way. I was like, guys, check your attitude right now because this is turf games. This is not the CrossFit Open. This is not the CrossFit Games. This is turf games. It's supposed to be fun. This is functional fitness. Have fun. If you're not having fun and you're being a little bit of a diva, being a brat, check the attitude and figure it out. Because if you're not going to be on the podium here, then there's some holes in your programming and you need to fix that. And they were all like,
Well,
oh, okay, mom. Yeah, you're right, though. Like, I mean, sometimes you just need to be reminded that it's not always about winning. It's about figuring out where your weaknesses are, figuring out how we can communicate on a team better, how we can be better athletes, and putting yourselves in positions that are not always going to be identical to the way you're going to perform later. Turf games is great. I think more CrossFit athletes, I mean, Noah did turf, or yeah,
the week
Noah did
prior.
turf,
Yep.
Tola did turf, Chandler did turf this week. Like all of these elite games athletes are doing other types of competition. You see them doing high rocks. They've done Hypercon games. They're doing other forms of fitness, and it's making them better athletes. So be mindful of that to all the athletes out there that are trying to figure out, hey, how do I get ahead? How do I get a better edge? Go do other things. Promise. It works. It's
Mhm.
helpful. Go do other things.
Look at that.
Bella, are you allowed to tell us if we're going to see you or not on any other open involvements this year?
I don't know, actually. I'm not going this week. They've got Seth freaking Rollins announcing
Yes, the
24.2.
visionary. I'm so bummed that I
Well,
can't be there. That's my boy.
if you're not involved this week, then I think it's safe to say you don't know what the workout's going to be.
Can't tell.
Yeah.
Does anybody know?
Okay.
Does anybody know?
Mhm.
Does anybody know?
I don't know.
Dave,
Mhm.
Dave knows.
Okay, well then I won't ask you anything else.
Dave knows. I
Mhm.
mean, if you think about Justin being like, yeah, lunges in the shred shed. There's no way Justin knows if there's lunges or not.
No,
And if there
no.
were, Dave probably changed it.
Well, I was
Yeah.
just gonna ask you if you thought we'd see a barbell this week. That was the only question I was gonna ask.
Do I think we'll see a barbell this week? Probably. Probably.
Yeah.
Barbell snatch?
I think we'll see.
No.
No, I think we will see a barbell 1 week of the Open. If I was betting, I would bet on the last week, but we'll see.
I think we could see something similar. What was it, 2021, where it was the thruster, the light thrusters and pull-ups, thrusters, chest bar, thrusters, bar muscle up. I think that was 21 something.
Yeah.
That could be fun.
That was the Panchik brothers did that one. As the
Yeah,
Open.
that could be fun. It's easy for affiliates. I remember all you needed is just a place under the rig. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking if we're going simple, I mean, it doesn't get more simple than last week. Actually, no, technically it could. We could do 100 bodyweight squats for time. It could get more simple than last week. But I don't
Fikowski
foresee
would
it
love
getting
that.
more simple than last
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I think we might see something with wall ball. You know, just
That'd be fun.
we've done something with the. I mean, I know Dave doesn't really program for size and heights, and traditionally Open's made for smaller athletes. But you know, why not? You know, throw something for.
I don't know.
the
No,
tall
I
guy.
mean, wall balls. Yeah, I think wall ball is actually a good shout. I feel like wall ball has
Yeah.
been kind of like a little bit of a forgotten entity in some
Mhm.
programming recently.
Yeah.
I think it would be nice to have a wall ball in there. It's it's easier than a thruster, but it's a similar movement pattern, and obviously they're very, very, they're in every affiliate. So I think wall ball's a good call.
And you know
Yep.
what would be an even better call? The women having to do a 10-foot target for the wall ball. That would be
Ooh.
even
Yeah,
better.
yeah. That's how you just kind of slowly build that in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that would agree with you on that, and there are a lot of women that would be really devastated by that. But
Here's the thing.
look,
I'm 5'4", and if I think a taller wall ball target is fair, that says something. You know what I mean? I'm not tall by any means.
yeah, and I mean, Chase and Bill have been making this argument for a decade or something like that, and it's and similarly, they've been programming in their affiliate that way, and
Yeah.
I think that given the changes in weights and heights of wall ball targets over the last couple of years at certain competitions, if you are programming for an affiliate and you haven't programmed 10-foot wall balls for the women in your affiliate at least once or twice, every once in a while or 6 months,
Yeah.
something like that, then you're probably not doing them a service, because it's only a matter of time before the women are going to have a 10-foot target, whether it's in the open. Well, in the open, I think it'll happen eventually.
I think
Yeah.
so, and I'm excited for it. I love it. Not saying you guys need an 11-foot target. I feel like that is so, that's tall, but I think 10 foot's fair.
Well, Audrey said just repainted their gym and added an 11-foot wall ball line for the men. So maybe, yeah. So I hope not. I hate wall balls. But anyways,
I love it.
all right, Bella, you gotta get out. Tell Mr. Ortiz, is his wife with him?
will.
Is she?
It's with Kyle Ship, so we're the whole MFC gang is having a chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
I actually got an email from her this morning. I need to check it out. So hopefully I wasn't an invite to that call.
You should come out to MFC. We love MFC.
That's what we're talking about. We're trying to make it happen.
It's I think it's on isn't it on the schedule, the tour? I think it's on the tour schedule. So we're gonna make it work some way or somehow. But
I love it.
Will Bella get out of here? Tell Ron we said what's up. And yeah, I'll let you know. Maybe we might have something Thursday. Maybe I'll let you know, Bella. And maybe something leading up into the open announcement or something. But otherwise, thanks for joining us as always, Bella. And if anything, we'll have you on next week to talk about 24.2.
Do me a favor, ask Chad to pull some stats on height from last week, and then we'll see what we're doing this week, and then it'll be good.
All right.
We got Barkley will do it.
Yeah,
okay,
we'll get
thanks,
Barkley.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
Bella.
guys.
Bye. Oh, work, Brian. Brian, must go from you. Yeah. So Bryson brings up that Julie girl has less followers than Walden because people think Walden is hot. There is something to that. I'm not saying that. No, I mean,
Bryson,
you look at
man.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying it.
Yeah. It's I think the way that Bella commented on it was appropriate. But
yes,
that's also probably true, and it's just part of how people are, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you look at something like Brooke Wells versus Laura Horvath in terms of followers, and their
Emma Carey and Mal O'Brien.
Yeah, that's another good example. It's not just about looks; it's about the media presence, personality, and stuff like that. Not saying that. I mean, Emma has a great personality. If it's just not shown or conveyed as much as it should be. But
yeah, and it's and people, so it's a valid comment for sure. It's not nothing. I wouldn't say that it's. I think with the combination of what he's saying and what Bella said is probably pretty
I think so too. Yeah, I put this up earlier. Thanks, T-Bird. Obviously it's for Bella, so I guess when we see Bella, we'll just buy her some coffee. And then our buddy SPM, thank you as always. We appreciate it. Please, we'd like to know who you are, and or if you want to be our anonymous, that's fine. But we appreciate the support. What dang, bro, peace. Not roasting out of Laura at all. I love Laura Horvath. I love her. I think she's amazing. She's one of my favorite crossers. She's so funny, and if you really get to know her, like I said, she doesn't really let her window, but she's great.
She put something up on an Instagram story today that I really liked. I was trying to remember what it is, but I'm drawing a blank.
And plus,
anyway,
her dog. I love her dog. She got herself a little. She got herself a dog, and I love the dog content. So,
Any other topics, PC?
No, not really. I mean, nothing that lines anything that we do or whatnot. But I can't really think of anything. Tomorrow we have Eurasia, and then working on some things for Thursday. That. Brian, you probably won't be involved with because you'll probably be busy or asleep. Well, unless you're up for the open announcement.
I wasn't last week. I woke up to a surprise, which was it's the first time this is my 11th year doing the open. It's my first time that I haven't watched the live open announcement live. Obviously living in a different time zone, and it's part of the thing that I've been trying to do, traveling around the world, experience CrossFit from the perspective of people who don't live in the United States or North America. And that's part of it, So embracing just that difference, and we'll see. I mean, it's if I'm awake, I'll watch it. If I'm not, I'll catch it up in the morning.
Any good disc golf going on?
Ooh,
Unfortunately,
this weekend.
Uh-huh.
There's a huge tournament in Texas. Jeffrey, it's at the venue in Waco. It's called Brazos Park East, or they just call it the Beast course that I told you should play there. And it's a Pro Plus event. It's worth 1.5 times the points, I think, or 1.25 the points for the Pro Tour season. All the best athletes in the world are in Waco this weekend, and you can go there and get a ticket and watch them play if you want to. It's within driving distance.
Yeah, I'd say she'll wake you up for the opening announcement. She brought it up. I'm pumped about the Seth Rollins. I mean, everyone's always kind of brought up about, if Dave stepped away, he would make the announcement, and I think it's great. A lot of people are kind of giving not a lot of people, there's people that say, who was this guy? Well, that guy has 4.6 million Instagram followers, which is 4 times as much as 4 times as much that follow CrossFit. So if anything, it's a good thing for CrossFit. And those who know Seth, he's just a good guy. I mean, I've had pleasure to get to know him through Joshy G. Joshy G is one of his best friends. The guy's been doing the Open for 12 years. I actually wrote an article about him when at the Morning Chalk Up when he became a Masters athlete. And him and his wife Becky, who's also the women's champion, she had a baby. She follows CrossFit. A lot of WWE wrestlers have incorporated CrossFit, which makes total sense.
Sure, and it's like the open announcements, especially in the fashion that Dave has, elevated them throughout the years. They become a bit of a show. I mean, he mentioned on his weekend review. I was caught up in my announcement. Like, he takes it very seriously. He plans the drama of it. Well, guess what the wrestling is? It's a show. It's the drama. Yeah. It's the excitement. It's this, the speeches. So Seth Rollins is going to be comfortable in that role. I think he's going to thrive in that role, and I think it's going to be. I think it's a great, fun, different choice for that this week, and I'm excited to see it.
It really is. And we are efforting. We might be doing some stuff live next week in Nashville, hopefully. Again, we brought up the email from Chris Madigan. He's been busy, obviously, with all the stuff going on with the Open. So our plans are hopefully to be doing some stuff live from Nashville at Proven. And obviously, if we're in that area, we'd probably have some cool interviews, or hopefully doing some interviewing some people. So we're still working that. But I'm going to bring
my Tia Claire Toomey book and see if she can get it signed. It's probably going to be a shorter line than it was at Rogue.
Yeah, I mean, you could also bring your Brooke Wells book and probably you could bring your Brooke Wells book too. You can get that signed as well.
I read the Brooke Wells book and I gave it to a friend to read, so I don't currently have it, but that would be a great idea. Otherwise, yes.
Yeah, we got. It's just funny if you think about it. Nashville's got a lot of athletes. Even it used to be that you went to Nashville because of Proven. Now you just have athletes that live there and aren't involved with Proven. So that's really good. I mean, Brooke, Will Morad, Chloe Wilson, who moved there as well to train full time, and she's with Training Think Tank. So, Jake, great question. What would Brian's wrestling name be?
Can't assign yourself a wrestling name, so you're going to have to let me know.
Yeah, probably the Brain, but there is already a guy that was named the Brain.
Dude, I saw from the Around the Whiteboard show last week that CTP was doing something with the Pokemon. I haven't had a chance to watch that episode yet, but that clip, I did see the clip on Instagram. I was dying laughing. And by the way, I think I'll be on, not this week, but next week, I think I'll be on that that show, unless I schedule an airplane flight during it again to try to get out to Nashville, which actually is possible that could happen. But I believe that I have that on my schedule to do next Wednesday with Peter, so that'll be pretty fun. Hopefully, to be on there.
Yeah, we'll have to promote that also, like we promote the show all the time. So he's done a great job with that. Maybe. Well, the thing is, as much shit as he gave you for the scheduling conflict, I love that he's roasting himself about his own scheduling conflict with Tia.
That was a pretty good. That the most recent fake news was one of the better ones, I thought, and I think it was nice. He did a little self critique there, but it was he's maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, but he's definitely a clever character to write those every week and to kind of present them, film them, edit them, all the stuff that he does. It's, you got to give him credit for it.
Well, yeah, you definitely do. This past week in review by Dave, he spent a lot of time talking about media and negativity and stuff like that. The thing is, whether you like it or not, the options in CrossFit in terms of media and what you like, it's never been like that. So there's something out there for everyone. B.Friendly fitness might not be there, might not be your cup of tea, but you know what? And maybe someone else is. And that's the great thing about CrossFit media now. There's a lot of flack given that CrossFit has a media team since they fired them isn't what it used to be. But the thing is, back then you wouldn't have all these options out there. So we're in a good space in terms of media. If you're someone that consumes the media and you have options.
No shortage of that.
Yeah, definitely. And we just hope that we're one of those options. And it seems like it is. It's we're happy, we're growing every day, and it's all because of people that everyone in the comments, people that tell us, or everyone you meet on the road. I mean, we have a lot of, obviously you see with the World Tour, we got some great stuff planned for the next 30 stops. Oh my gosh. When I try to explain to people that a world tour is like 33 stops, 11 countries, 15 US states, I mean, it's crazy and growing. So we definitely appreciate that. We obviously, it wouldn't be possible without sponsors like HGR CBD. Use friend 20 for 20% off your HGR CBD product. Brian doesn't go anywhere without his relief stick. If we can, we'll get Carl to send Bella some product to try out. I'm sure she wouldn't mind that. She's on the road just as much as you. So we're lucky to get her on and get her perspective. I thought it was really cool to hear her perspective at 24.1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's not a lot of people in the history of CrossFit who've been able to do that role. It's been pretty a select number of people over the years. She works her ass off all year round, grinding, traveling, studying athletes, integrating with communities, and trying to become as good as she can in those roles. And she got a great, reward for it this week. So and it was really cool to see, because I don't think it seemed like she did a great job of keeping that a secret. Hardly anyone knew about it. And then you see all the positive feedback that people were giving her, telling us about her. Just made me feel happy for her.
Yeah, proud, because we both have seen her from almost the beginning. I remember meeting her at the TFX, where she was just a part of the media team back in 2020, and then from there she went on to doing High Rock MC, and then she started doing events, and then she just and now look at her. I mean, when she had this, essentially she had a tryout or with the CrossFit people at Wadapalooza, where they kind of sat her down and they interviewed her for this position and for this role. And she was just so, giddy about it, and, just having that opportunity, and, just proud for seeing that hard work, being realized and recognized for someone like her. But Brian, I'm what? It's past your bedtime. It's way past your bedtime.
It's 11:45. It's 11:45 p.m. I don't
Okay.
know. My sleep schedule has been kind of weird over here, so I'll get sleep. I don't know how soon I'll fall asleep, but I'll get in bed. Yeah, it's late enough, and I always try to just get in bed during the times that I want to be sleeping, and hope that I end up sleeping.
You fall asleep, end up falling asleep. Yeah. So tomorrow we have our Eurasia profile preview. Where article should be up tonight. Tomorrow morning we'll link it to that. And then I can't wait to talk about that. Obviously, it won't have the elite names that you had at Sand Clash or what we're used to seeing, but there's going to be some names there regardless, and should be some fun stuff. And we'll be streaming that live on the elite heats or RX heat or elite heats on the B.Friendly YouTube channel. So it'll be really cool.
Yep, last week we integrated with the broadcast that Sand Clash has. This week there's no broadcast of this absent B.Friendly Fitness, so it'll just be our team doing it. We got Rodri in Spain, Chad over in Canada, and myself on the ground. Barkley maybe providing some stats. and we're trying some new stuff to make it hopefully, you know, as engaging and presentable as it can with a pretty low budget and equipment.
Yeah. Well, you know, you'll finally get to hang out with your all your new tools, your new iPhone, or you know, just your rig.
I did it on the first day at Sand Clash. It was we had an evolutionary process over 3 days of what we wanted to try to do there. But yeah, this is going to be the first one that's, you know, I did the Instagram lives with just my phone. And we ran into some, you know, some issues there. The vertical is limiting compared to the horizontal. The pixel rate, the internet speeds matter a lot. Instagram's live's nice because everyone kind of sees it pop up and they can go on there. So I don't know. With a fist on her injured wrist. He did the burpees.
So he's saying that, yeah. So instead of opening it up, yeah. I wonder if there's video
anyway
of that. Yeah.
So we will so we're gonna push it to the YouTube, the B.Friendly YouTube, which we tried in TFX to overcome the internet with recording it and then uploading it after the fact. It should be a better viewing experience. We'll have this times scheduled, and yeah, there's some semifinal athletes. There is one former CrossFit Games athlete in Alexander Illand that's on the roster that we've been sent, 2 times Games athlete, and you know, but it's two semifinals out of Asia on the women's side, 2 out of Europe on the men's side, and we have in the database, we have, I don't know, 20 athletes. So some people to learn about and some countries with some of the fittest athletes in their country that'll be here.
Yeah, if you watch this, it'll actually zoom in on a wrist here. You'll see it. 1 second. Yeah.
I mean, she looks like she's in great spirits regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think something like this is gonna, but you'll see her go down. Well, for some reason it keeps on blacking out on that moment. But if you watch it on, you know, better internet,
maybe it's on purpose.
yeah, maybe. But I mean, you know, when I was watching it earlier, yeah, you can definitely see her. She puts her left wrist down in a fist. So, yeah. But that explains a lot. But it looks like she, you know, obviously a workout like this would be no problem for someone like her. So, YouTube is better. All right. We appreciate it. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for coming on. Thanks to Bella. She's still, you know, for taking time. And yeah, thank you all. Thank everyone for coming out and offering questions, contributing, everything. As always, we appreciate it. We wouldn't be anywhere without your support. Use 20%. Use Friend20 for 20% off HCRCD products. Shout out to Carl as always. Shout out to Brian for always being willing to sacrifice his sleep to spend time with me via this, you know. But as always, you know, we appreciate you, and be friendly, our friends.